Welcome out. Hey, we are live.
Hello, everybody.
Holy shnikes. Welcome out to this episode of Escape Pod. I'm your host, David Anthony, along with Tony Brown.
Tony Brown.
Hey, and we have Rich Davis. Hey, buddy.
Hey,
what's going on? Dude, welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
And for you guys that don't know, Rich has created the Cult of Dracula comic book. And I honestly have kind of gotten out of comic books for probably the last 10 years or so. Just been busy with life and just having the opportunity to see the first issue of this one. Dude, you've pulled me back in.
Right. That is the best news you could have possibly given me, man. I'm sucking you back into the hobby.
Yeah, so I'm excited to read this as it goes forward, man. I'm just, like I said, first issue, I'm already hooked. And
right on, man.
You know, and I love everything horror and vampire, and cultish.
Yeah.
So this hit everywhere that it needed to hit for me.
Hit all your buttons, man.
It did.
It did. It really did. You reached out to us, which I greatly appreciate that you did that. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. And as soon as your first couple of lines about what you were wanting to promote, and I was like, Tony's gonna fucking love this. so I messaged him and said, hey, guess what? And he's like, get him. So there you go. You're definitely this is your audience here. That's what I'll tell you that right now.
I love people and I love comic book people, man. Those are definitely my people.
Excellent. Well, that's you've come to the right place. So but we appreciate everybody that's joining us tonight and anybody that tunes in or watches the replay of this. And also this is going to be on our iTunes we're iTunes now is super blown up on there, especially during the virus. I mean, we were stacking some pretty good numbers, but I guess a lot of people, not getting out or just really wanting something else to listen to. And our numbers have picked even more crazy. So it's good. Plus we also got added to iHeartRadio, which we're pretty excited about that. So you can actually check us out on iHeartRadio or listen to it through iHeartRadio, which is available a lot of apps and stuff on TVs and stuff. So every now and again, I'll slap us on the TV. Sounds pretty sexy, I know. But anyway, so I guess where I'd like to start is how you got started in comics. What's your background in this?
Yeah, my career really began as a playwright and a screenwriter, and also a theater producer. I owned and operated the Browncoat Pub and Theater in Wilmington, North Carolina, for just over 10 years. And so Cult of Dracula began as a stage production that we produced at the Browncoat, and then we adapted it into a screenplay. My good friend Tony Todd, he saw the play and was very supportive of it. He kept encouraging me. He's like, Rich, you can't let this go. You got to do something else with it. And we were originally going to turn it into a screenplay. And we wrote the character of Agent Bram for Tony, hoping that he would play him. And then unfortunately, my wife got sick. She has stage 4 chronic kidney disease. So it kind of put the film project on hold for a while, but I didn't want to give it up. So I was like, I don't have the budget or the time to do a film production right now, but I can do a comic book, and then I can write, $100 million budget script for a comic book, and it doesn't cost me $100 million, so, I could write any crazy horror thing that I want to write in a comic, as long as I find the right artist to bring it to life for me. And so that's how I got hooked up with Henry Martinez. Of course, he did Ghost Rider and Spirits of Vengeance and Blaze, all that for Marvel. And, we got hooked up together, and, boom, here we are.
That's amazing.
So when you mentioned Tony Todd, would that be horror icon Tony Todd?
Yeah, I would.
That's incredible.
Yeah, Tony.
Name drop. Nice.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of people, working in the film industry and the theater industry, and Tony's one of them. And Tony's one of the best people I know, man. He's super cool. He actually cut a little promo video for Cult of Dracula, which we've been sharing it around on social media. And dude, totally in character and just rocked that promo video out, man. It was really cool.
Nice. Yeah,
Very
that's
nice.
definitely a good name to have attached to any project you're working on.
Yeah, especially
we'll get that link and add it to our show notes too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll definitely share that with you.
Nice.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say something. I put my voice on pause.
We're all waiting on you, man.
Well, talking about just going from doing, you said you had a little pub and a theater there. What was that experience like? So was it just everybody, were you doing mostly local stuff, or were you doing bigger name things and bringing them to a smaller stage?
We produced our own productions. In the 10-year period that the Brown Coat was open, we produced well over 125 full-length theatrical productions. We also produced a live sitcom called Sides, which was really cool. We performed 75 episodes of that, which is really cool. So the actors, it was really cool. The actors would come in. We would give them their script that day. They would learn it. They would rehearse it a couple of times, and then boom, you're live before a theater audience performing sitcoms, kind of like Friends, you know. We also helped found a film festival and a lot of sketch comedy groups. We would also book some touring acts like magicians. We had paranormal illusionist Aidan Sinclair and Miss Clairvoyant, who is now the resident illusionist at the historic Stanley Hotel. She performed there. Gary Conrad, famous hypnotist. Basil, the comedian, who was the voice of the genie in Aladdin on Ice. He performed there. We had a lot of cool stuff going on at the Brown Coat, man. It was a really rad time.
And you said that you were doing Cult of Dracula there as well?
Yeah.
So do you have, I guess, from the first issue, how much of that do you have already written out? Can you say?
I'm actually in the middle of writing issue number 6 right now. So the book is intended to be 18 total issues. And those are going to be broken into 3 volumes of 6 issues each. So I've got the first 5 are completely written. 6 I'm working on now, and then we'll start into volume 2. I've got volume 2 and 3 outlined already. It's now just actually sitting down, actually writing the scripts and building the scenes and things like that.
Right. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. And also I noticed that I was checking out some stuff from Second Sight, and it was showing that you're going to have variant covers for. Are you going to do that with every issue, or are you just doing that for issue 1?
There'll be a variant for each one. We've got, of course, the standard cover. Georges Genti did the A cover for issue 1. Then Gyula Nemeth, who you guys might recognize him from the horror comic Criminal Macabre, which is a really cool book. He is doing A covers for issues 3 and 5. And then Sanford Green is doing the cover of issue 4. And we haven't worked out who's doing the cover for 6 yet. But then there will be variant covers as well. Chris Callahan, he's probably most well known for The Misplaced. He's doing a 1 in 50 variant cover for each issue. And Alan Qua, people might know him from his work on Nightwing. He's doing an exclusive variant for Scorpion Comics for each of the 6 issues. So we will have some variant covers for those out there who like to collect, and like to get the rare books. And then for those who just want to read the book, we're keeping the cover price at $2.99. So keeping it very affordable, very accessible. So we got a little something for everybody. And those variant covers, they're allowing us to be able to keep the cover price low like that, because we can sell those for a little bit more, make some more money on it, which funds the rest of the books.
Yeah, and I was looking at one of the covers, and I noticed it kind of had like a little glimpse of Valley of the Dolls in there, just by the way that some of the covers were posed.
Yes.
All right.
I am so glad that you picked that up. You're actually the first person to get that. So Cult of Dracula, what it does is it takes the traditional Bram Stoker myth and reimagines it within a Charles Manson inspired cult. So there's a lot of Manson imagery and Sharon Tate imagery in the story. Like I have gone way down the rabbit hole researching Manson and the Tate LaBianca murders and all that. So I wanted to throw a lot of those Easter eggs in there. And the first one is the cover, because the way the cover's laid out for cover A, that's the way that is the Valley of the Dolls poster. So, you know, for people who get it, it's a nice little Easter egg. And then other people are just going, oh, that's a cool cover. But yeah, I'm so glad you got that, man. That's rad.
Yeah, I told you he was a big comic book fan.
Yeah. I love people, man. I really do.
Yeah, there's another thing, and I noticed that there's a character named Arthur Homewood in here. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you meant for this to be another Easter egg or whatever, but there's a line where he says, "No, I'm far from fucking okay." Mm-hmm. And to me, that's Ving Rhames in Pulp Fiction with the whole basement. I don't know if you meant to do that or not, but so now on, when I read that character, I'm going to hear him as Ving Rhames no matter what.
Yep.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, you'll notice. Actually, you know, I'm very heavily influenced by Quentin Tarantino. He's from Knoxville, which is where I'm at, and you know, I'm a Tennessee boy. So we gotta love Quentin's work, and so yeah, definitely, you could definitely hear some of Marcellus Wallace in Arthur's voice as you read it. So yeah.
Just as soon as I read that, I was just like, oh, and I tried to do my voice. I'm like, no, I can't go that.
But you can probably hear that voice in your head right now.
Oh yeah, that's what I say. Now every time I read whatever he has going on, I'm going to hear that character with Ving Rhames' voice.
Or an Arby's ad. Anyway. Yep. No, just kidding. Yeah, exactly. Oh man. So so you wrote the comic. How did you I guess I mean, the art style is, I love it. It's very unique. So how did you get, I guess, you get artists, and most comics have an inker, and how did all that come together?
Yeah, you know, Henry, that's probably been the most fortunate introduction I've ever had in my life. My friend Georges Genty, who did Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly, X-Men, he was originally going to be my interior artist, but he got to working on a bigger project, something called X-Men, you know. So,
project.
Yeah, you know. And so he didn't have time to do Cult of Dracula, but he still did covers. And he said, you know, I've got a buddy that I grew up with, great friend of mine, brilliantly talented artist, named Henry Martinez. And he introduced us. And Henry and I, man, we clicked right from the beginning. And like I said, it is the most fortunate introduction we've ever had. And Henry does pencils and inks for the book. So we've kind of put him on double duty there. And his art really reminds me a lot of Preacher. You know, he really calls up a lot of those images for me. And, you know, it's been really cool to be able to trust Henry to whatever crazy idea I come up with. You know, I know he's going to be able to translate it to the page and bring it to life. And, you know, you can look at the pages and I can see my words in the images that he's drawn. And that's incredible. And he's really elevated the book to a level I couldn't have imagined. It's just absolutely gorgeous and creepy. And he just gets it. You know, we both think about comic books in a very cinematic way in the way that we lay them out. And we're both big fans of grindhouse horror, you know, big Tobe Hooper fans, you know, 70s, that 70s, early 80s slasher period. That's my favorite era of horror. You know, second only, or, you know, the only thing that comes close to that would be the grindhouse era. So I really love those films. And, you know, the book really, especially, you know, the first volume here, it definitely has one of those, it definitely has a grindhouse vibe to it. And that's all Henry's art, man. He really does a fantastic job.
So when he does that art, are you there with just like being able to sketch what you're seeing and giving him a rough sketch, or does he just totally take what you've written and maybe what you've told him about where people should stand, and then he draws it? Is that how that goes?
He takes it right from the page because Henry lives in New York. I'm in Knoxville, and I can't draw to save my soul, man. I've tried. I can't even draw a cool looking stick figure.
I was going to ask.
But I've always had the ability. My mom tells stories about me when I was a kid, being able to like mystify people with the stories I was telling, and so I've always been able to describe things very well with my words and create images with my words. And so when I write it out, it's kind of like I'm writing a screenplay, and the comic panels are the shots that I want to set up. So I'm kind of like I'm writing it for a director of photography. And then, Henry, he takes what I've written and he creates a scene out of it. And that's really where the trust between me and Henry comes in very strongly, because I'm total garbage at laying out a panel layouts, man. They're really difficult. Like one draft of the script for issue 1, I noticed I went like 10, almost 15 pages of just like 5 rectangular panels stacked on top of one another, just page after page after page. And it was boring. And so Henry was able to take it and kind of move the panels around and translate it, do some different things with it. And everything that he was doing was something that I would have loved to have done had I been an artist and knew how to draw that way. And so we've really kind of been in sync with each other this whole time. And, his panel layouts and just the way he creates things, it's just brilliant. Like, and I know when I write something, I can go insane with it. Like I'm writing this one thing right now. There's a character, and it's just gonna be an extreme close up of her face, and she's crying, and in her tears we see her entire life story. And
wow.
So and so the tears are essentially going to become the panels in the issue. And I know Henry's going to nail that. I don't even have to think like, oh, is this too much? Can he do this? Because I absolutely have total faith he's going to do it, and he's going to do it even better than I imagine.
That sounds amazing. That kind of working relationship with someone, for that artist to be able to take your words and then draw that out, and you just be like, yeah, that's exactly what was in my mind. So yep. That's got to be a great relationship to have, that somebody's visualizing your words for everyone to see.
Yeah. And another really cool thing that kind of shows that trust and that relationship that we have is, if you've read issue 1, so that like the first 7 pages, there's essentially no dialogue. It's all, it's just Bram arrives, he's investigating this, horrific event, but it's total silence. And, a lot of writers who maybe didn't have a good relationship with their artists or didn't trust them completely would have felt compelled to like put thought bubbles or exposition or, something like that in there. And I knew that Henry could convey everything I wanted to say in these 7 pages without a single word. And I just trusted him to do that. And he delivered, more than I could have ever expected.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt it. I have to say, from reading the comic myself several times now, and thank you very much for giving us an advanced copy to look at. It really is extremely well done. I mean, it's this is definitely an adult comic. It's for grown-ups. It's not for it's not for little kids. It's no superhero. It's what we like to call the good stuff. And it really is. It's it's the kind of art and story come together that that frankly I think could really stretch to other mediums. So
the beginning, it just, the way you threw the readers into it, where they're just, like you said, with no words, no thought bubbles, just leaving everybody to go, what the hell is going on here? Mm-hmm. So it was just a great way to start it.
And this is just issue 1.
Yeah. In those first 7 pages, I really wanted the reader to put themselves in Bram's shoes. Like I wanted them to arrive at, because it's not spoiling at all to say that essentially he's arrived at at a Jonestown type massacre, or, you know, mass suicide. That's what they're calling it. The Cult of Dracula mass suicides. And Agent Bram is an FBI agent, and he serves as kind of the framing device for the story. And so, you know, and then we go back flashbacks and see how we got to the suicides. And so Bram is a very important anchor character for the readers. So I really wanted them to get inside his head and see things the way he was seeing them. So as you know, as Bram's arriving, you know, he has no words for what he's looking at. You know, there's, you know, everything that he's seeing, it's just kind of, he's processing it because he can't form words. So I wanted the audience, the readers, to really get in that headspace with him. And, you know, it comes off with Henry's art very, very effectively that way.
Yeah, it definitely did. It was very cinematic, just the way that it started. And then even within the couple pages later, you have, you know, the splash page, I guess you could call it, with, you know, the name of the comic. So it was very cinematic in a way. I dig it.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's the art is fantastic, and it definitely captures that grindhouse vibe that I wanted for it.
It definitely does. I agree with that 100%. But even like I said, the art is fantastic for sure. But I mean, it's the writing too. I think, you know, you've really, like I said, this was issue 1, and I'm already like, where's issue 2? Where's 3? I'm ready. You know, this is like, you know, I wish I could binge it, and that mentality these days. But, but yeah, so you've got fans here and us, and we'll definitely be following all these. So
I got you two, and I've got my mom. That's 3.
Oh, your mom's gonna buy at least a couple copies to get.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So how is the comic book world doing nowadays between the combination of everybody wanting everything digital, you know, on a handheld device, and then Corona on top of that? How's that world going for you guys?
You know, it's been insane, and the industry, you know, and I'm no expert. I'm not like really an insider. I'm just a dude from Tennessee who wrote a cool comic, and this is really my first outing. So, but you know, from my perspective on it, and from talking to people who have a lot more experience than I do, the industry is in a state of flux right now. There's a lot of chaos going on. I mean, you know, DC Comics just broke away from Diamond. So now there's for the first time in almost, you know, 20, 25 years, maybe there's competition in the comic distribution market. Plus there's a lot more small press companies that are, you know, some are going the Kickstarter route, some are going the direct distribution route, some are forming alliances with things like Cornerbox and distributing their books. So we're kind of getting into, it's chaotic and it's difficult for the establishment of the comic book world, because they're facing a lot of changes and a lot of uncertainty, but there's also a lot of opportunity for people with ingenuity and people who are willing to, you know, without going to a cliche, jump outside the box and kind of make their own rules. You know, because there's no reason why you can't just reach your audience directly anymore. I mean, you know, the internet connects us all, you know, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these podcasts. I mean, if you have a cool idea, you can reach your audience and you don't have to go through the traditional gatekeepers as much anymore. Now, those gatekeepers can give you access to a lot more finances and infrastructure resources that are going to, you know, make it easier for you to be successful. But, you know, in this environment, the way things are with, you know, stores are starved for content right now because the big publishers aren't producing as many books. So they want to bring in stuff for their shelves. Readers aren't getting overwhelmed with as many comics as they normally do. So they've got a hunger to consume new things. And, you know, readers are wanting to branch away from just the traditional superhero stuff, and they want to branch out into the genre books like horror and fantasy and sci-fi. And so, you know, I can say very clearly to everybody who's listening, if you've got an idea for a comic book, you can do what I did. I mean, you can do this. I mean, I'm absolutely nobody special. You know, I'm just a dude born in small town, Middle Tennessee. And I came up with an idea and I stuck with it and I worked my ass off. and I got it produced. And, my book, comes out in November, and it's already outsold several regular Marvel and DC titles, according to Comicron. I mean, we've sold more than 10,000 units to retailers nationwide. We're selling to stores everywhere. Our Scorpion Comics variant went live yesterday online, and it sold out 1,000 copies in 45 minutes.
Impressive.
Yeah, dude, it blew my mind. I mean, it really did. I never would have imagined, that something that I wrote would be, that people would be just like falling all over themselves to buy it. And then now I look on eBay, and people are flipping the variant covers up there for like $150, $200. Like, huge,
And they don't even have them yet, right?
Yeah. Hasn't released yet. But
right.
That's the cool thing about comic books is this is the one entertainment medium that is still reasonably accessible for the average person. I mean, the average person is going to really struggle to make a feature film. That's really hard to do. And it's very expensive to do. But I mean, if you're sitting here listening to this podcast and you've got a really cool idea for a comic, man, you can do this. And
awesome.
I'm living proof of it. And, the industry, there are people out there that have been doing this for a long time who are very accessible and willing to kind of talk to you and mentor you and give you advice and, kind of help you with things. I mean, comics community is amazing. It actually kind of reminds me a lot of the horror film community, in the 70s and 80s when, you had these people, it's still, everything's really low budget and, things were being made in people's garage. And, it's kind of that environment where everybody just wants to come together and support people and support each other doing these really cool things. So I'm very happy to be a small part of that community right now.
That's some of Tony's favorite right there. He loves the, and we have friends that have actually been on our podcast that are independent filmmakers that make horror movies, and they're they were struggling a little bit for a while, but now it's like they're like, we're gonna mask up, we're gonna take all the precautions, and we're gonna get back to filming.
Yep.
You just gotta get on the bootstraps and just push forward if that's what you really want to do. And it sounds like you were really pushing forward with this, and we'll be here to support you every step of the way. So just wanted to say that ahead of time that we're excited for you, man.
Yeah. So did you have any prior, just other than love of comic books, for a reason to go in and try to do a comic book, or were you just trying to extend the life of your screenwriting and your stage play writing?
I really had no background in writing comics before this. Like I said, everything I'd ever done was either a stage script or a screenplay. And this idea just stuck in my head, and I didn't want to let it go. And thankfully, there were some really cool people in my life who kept encouraging me not to let it go. So, I just thought that the comic medium was perfect for it because it's a way to get the idea out there, stay with it, and it kind of lays the groundwork for if we want to go, into, a film or a television series with it. There's the possibility out there. And so, yeah, it's just been, it's just been that I can't let this idea go. And I'm really glad that I didn't.
So how big a fan are you of Dracula and the lore and some of the early, I mean, it's been around for a long time, the story. So how did that get? Go ahead.
Huge fan. Vampires have always been a fascination of mine. Count Dracula, in my whole life, there are two things other than spiders, which really terrify me. But Count Dracula and Charles Manson have terrified me since I was a kid. And it's all about their ability to manipulate people and the things that people will do for vampires and would do for Manson and these cult leaders. It's terrifying, but it's also fascinating to me at the same time. But as far as just Dracula goes, I have probably seen every Dracula film in every incarnation ever made. And if I haven't seen it, recommend it. And I'm going to go watch it because I love the character. I love the mythos. And, I want to do more. And, in creating this book, I really delved deep into vampire lore, vampire mythology, and, children's nursery rhymes and, scary songs that creepy kids sing, and really dove deep into that to kind of build this mythology that we have for the book, because I wanted it to be. Georges challenged me really early on that I needed to do something that kind of pushed the vampire genre forward, because the first script that I had written was kind of paint by numbers. It was a standard vampire script, and we got to talking about 30 Days of Night and how, it flipped the vampire world upside down because the vampires didn't have to sleep during the day. And it was a whole new approach to vampires. And so Georges kind of challenged me to do something like that with Cult of Dracula. And so that made me really reinvent the character and kind of go back and really dive into that mythology from around the world. And, I read scary stories and vampire myths and just monster myths from, different cultures and different eras. And I kept seeing this, this kind of common thread, this one character that kind of seemed to show up in everything. I mean, it was always there. And it's this outcast woman who is living in the shadows or living in the night, and she steals naughty children away and either eats them or drinks their blood, but she survives on their essence. And so that led me to start thinking, well, what if my Dracula was a woman? What if it's not the traditional, Victorian male aristocrat? Because that's not scary anymore. We've seen that a million times. Leslie Nielsen's made fun of it. So it's not scary and it doesn't translate. But if we start thinking about the other in a different way, for whatever reason, one thing that really scares everybody is women, and especially women who are weird or don't fit the norm.
We're both married, so we get it.
Yeah. So I started exploring it from that, and I started looking at, characters like, like the Native American Wendigo and La Llorona and Baba Roga and Lamashtu and Lamia and Lady Bathory, all the way back to Lilith. And so I started okay, so if I take this little thread and I connect it to ... to here and tie this together and, and all of a sudden, we had a brand new mythology for our vampires and a whole new vampire lore it's not just created out of thin air. It's based in stories that we've been telling to scare the hell out of each other for thousands of years, but we've just tied them together in a different way. And it really opened up a whole new method of storytelling in the book. So, the Cult of Dracula is that, and, the Robert Renfield is kind of he's the Charles Manson, Jim Jones figure, the cult leader. And so on the surface, this is just a crazy religious cult. But when you start to dig a little bit deeper, you find out that they're actually dedicated to an ancient blood goddess. And there's things like human sacrifice and all this crazy stuff going on, really eyes wide shut type things. And then if you trace it even further back, you find out that it goes all the way back in time to Lilith, the first woman. And, so we get to, when you finally get to issue 4, we really delve into the Lilith myth, pretty hardcore. So that's going to be really fun when we finally get there, for you guys. I've already written it, so I know how it works out.
I don't know if you noticed while you were talking, all the smiles, and me and Tony are like, oh,
I know.
I mean, dude, if I could just say that we are so excited and pumped for this, the way you got things going. I mean, you're hitting all the right buttons. You're saying all the right things. So yeah. I'm telling you, man, I really think you've got something special, and I really think it's gonna resonate with a lot of people that enjoy this.
And going with the woman aspect of being Dracula, and going back to Lilith, my wife has always been obsessed with the story of Lilith, because she's one of those ladies. She's just a strong, powerful, weird woman. Mm-hmm. And so with me telling her that's going to bring her into this comic too, because it's going to blow her mind.
It was very important to me. I mean, being just being a white dude writing a feminist story or a female story or a story from the feminine perspective, I wanted to take a lot of time to really research what I was writing, because I didn't want to just do like, a surface skim and not do justice to pagan women and to pagan culture. So I consulted a lot with people in the pagan culture. I was very lucky to have a friend here in Knoxville. Her name's Whitney Crow, and she was kind of my advisor on pagan culture. She's practicing pagan herself. And so, it was very important to me that everything I did be very true and represent that culture in a realistic way. It was also very important that the women that I wrote, not be stereotypes. There are no damsels in distress. There are no, crazy sex kittens in this book. All of the women they make choices, they have agency, and they're living their lives in a realistic way. And so they're not good guys, they're not bad guys, they're people, and they make choices and decisions, and they deal with the consequences of those choices. I like to say that there's everybody's lying, everybody's telling the truth, everybody's got an agenda, and they're all going to deal with what happens. So I really wanted living, breathing, fully formed people in this story. So, and it took a lot of research and a lot of humility for me to ask the questions of the right people and listen to what they were telling me about how things really are from their life experience. Because I didn't want to seem like I was colonizing or kind of exploiting these pagan beliefs and things.
Right. Yeah, and plus, I think it's going to be great that it's going to pull more girls into that comic book world, because we need women in everything we do in our life. But
Amen.
To get them nerding out and being like David's daughter, complete comic book nerd, that world needs more of that.
I really hope this is a book that women can be proud of and that men can enjoy, and that just comic book fans and horror fans in general can find something in there, that they can connect to. It's like, there's no agenda to the book, but except to say that I want the book to be filled with living, breathing, real people that, believable people that you could say, yeah, you know what, I knew somebody like that. Or, I used to go to school with this guy. He was just like that. Or I worked for a woman who was just like that. I wanted them to be real, fully formed people. And I'm hoping that's coming through.
And also just, it didn't seem like it was set like typically in London, European states. Was it set here in
Set right here in the Appalachian region of Tennessee, man.
Awesome.
I'm a firm believer in writing what you know, and Stephen King said it best: if you wanna write horror, you write what scares you. And so I grew up in Sparta, Tennessee, little town in the middle of the state, in the middle of nowhere. And I was surrounded by a lot of the people and a lot of the images and the settings that I've put in this book. Small little churches way out in the backwoods, back in the hollers and and places like that. And so yeah, it's set right here. It's modernized, it's American, it's Southern, it's Appalachian, and we've got a really rich horror history here in the Appalachian region. I mean, most of us are, either descendant of the Scotch or the Irish. And, we like to tell ghost stories and we like to tell scary stories. And so I wanted that culture to be very well represented. Appalachian culture is very important to the book. So yeah, it just reimagines those classic Stoker characters if they lived here. In a modern world, like Abraham Van Helsing, he's a deposed priest who is now a professor at the University of Tennessee. So his film crew, Mina Murray and Jonathan Harker, they're grad students at UT. So they come. So yeah, you're going to catch a lot of Appalachian references. And, if you're from the region, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know that. I know that place. I know that story, There's a really cool reference in issue 3 to Copperhead Road and the bootlegger tradition and things like that. So that's going to be really fun. When Henry's working on that now, I've seen some of the designs for the bootlegger cars that he's that he's been researching. So there's going to be one particular car in there. Pay very close attention to it, and a very faded paint job. It's an Easter egg. If you know what to look for, you'll see it and you'll never forget it. And if you don't know what to look for, it's not a big deal. But if you know what you're looking for, it's it's a song reference, and it's spot on perfect.
now I'm gonna have to go back and read the first issue again to see if I've missed anything else that's in there hiding.
There's a lot in there, man. There really is a lot of cultural references there.
So when this issue, when this issue comes out, you're gonna probably hate me for doing this, but like when this issue comes out, and we're both gonna buy it for sure. So we're gonna send you our copies, and you'll sign them and send it back to us. Awesome! Absolutely. It looked good in the studio.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Glad to do that, guys. And I'll get Henry and Georges to sign them as well.
Oh, nice.
You guys might be close enough. If Knoxville's not too long of a drive, you can come down on October 3rd. We're all going to be here for a big signing day event. So, if you want to come meet us and, maybe do a live broadcast from the spot, that'd be fun, man.
We will definitely communicate more about that, because that is definitely a possibility, depending on how the situation is in the world. But we definitely can mask up and glove up, and Tony can be proctologist. Oh, I mean, wrong kind of glove. Sorry. Anyway, so we can definitely consider that for sure, and hopefully, and we're not even finished with this one yet, but I'm already going to invite you back on another one. We definitely would love to have you back, and maybe at some point, if you want to get all the guys on here, maybe after the first couple issues come out and debut, then
we can do that.
Because we can have up to 10 people on here without having to, everybody's staying at home where it's nice and safe, and we can definitely get everybody on here that way. If you would like, like I said, yeah. Fantastic, man. Put him on the spot. You like that, don't you, Tony? Tony's like, that David bastard does it every time. Oh shit. Go ahead, Tony. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say that, here where we live in Kentucky, well, basically all of Kentucky and all of Tennessee, from what I know, is basically in the Bible Belt area. Mm-hmm. With, like you said, churches everywhere. Some of the, honestly, a little bit creepier churches that are on some weird back roads that,
Mm-hmm.
So were you worried about any kind of backlash using kind of a religious setting that you might get from the locals?
That's definitely a concern. When we perform the stage play, there's a scene that's really brutal and really jarring to people who are extremely religious. And so I would watch it every night from the tech booth, which was right up above the stage. And we would kind of have a bet of how many people were going to walk out of the theater during this particular scene. And every single night of a sold out performance that ran for an entire month, every single night there was at least one person who left because they couldn't handle it. And so there's a little bit of concern about that, but I think, the book's not written to be, offensive to religious people or anything. It doesn't make fun or anything like that. I mean, I think if people put themselves in a headspace of this is the way this particular cult views religion and views, this is their beliefs and these are their rituals. It doesn't mean that this is every church or every, person of faith. This is these people, and these people are weird. They're outcasts. They're I'm not going to call them villains because I don't think that's fair. Because they're just people living their lives the way they believe they should be led, and I think there's some nobility to that, even if they do some horrible things, in the process. But horrible things have been done in the name of religion for thousands of years. So that's true to the culture as well. But, I think it's going to be a book that's certainly not for everyone. You know, there are going to be some people who are not going to dig it, and who are not going to be able to handle some of the things that go on. But you know, that's cool. You know, if you don't like it, it's fine. I'm just glad that you've thought about it or read it or gave it a chance at all is cool with me, and your opinion's just as valid as anybody else's. But yeah, it's definitely been a concern. And again, I don't want to, exploit or make fun of anybody's culture. I want to present it in a unique horror type way, and hopefully cause some people to think about some things, and kind of think about the cult and the occult cultures in different ways.
Oh, I like that response. That's a good way to look at that.
Definitely. It was very good. Very well worded, sir. You interviews, haven't you?
Hold on.
There you go. Well, the show was good.
Who actually is your publishing house for this?
We chose to go with a new company called Second Sight Publishing. Now, Second Sight's been around for a little while. They operated under Antarctic Press as kind of a side imprint. Bradley Golden is the founder of Second Sight. He's a very accomplished comic book writer himself. He's written things like Mississippi Zombie and Leave on the Light and Sunny, These Damn Kids, a lot of horror books that he's created. And Bradley decided he wanted to strike out on his own and start up his own company. And it's kind of a funny story how we ended up with Second Sight, because we've been shopping this project for a couple of years, and we've had discussions with companies like Aftershock and Scout and 12 Gauge and and other publishing companies. And we went into late 2019, early 2020, and we were basically ready to choose between three larger small press companies. I'm not certainly not talking Marvel or DC, but smaller companies, but bigger than Second Sight. And then COVID happened, and it all of a sudden became, well, we can't get it on the slate in 2020. Maybe we can do it in 2021 or maybe 2022. So we decided, well, that kind of sucks. So we're going to try to do it. We were just going to take it and do a Kickstarter with it and just do the direct distribution route, which a lot of people have been very successful with that. And right before we were set to do that, we got contacted by Bradley from Second Sight, and he kind of caught wind. Him and Marcus Roberts, who's the director of submissions for Second Sight, they caught wind of the book, and they really liked it. And Bradley made a really strong pitch to me. I mean, it's kind of hard not to listen when you've got like the publisher and like the three biggest people in a company all on a conference call, talking to you and wanting to talk about your book. So then we had one of the larger companies that we were working with. They came back into the picture, and they're like, well, maybe we can do it in 2020. So we really had to sit down and do some soul searching and, really kind of think about what we wanted to do and what was best. And ultimately, we did decide to go with Second Sight because I really liked how much they believed in the project. And, Bradley said to me early on, he said, I think that Cult of Dracula can do for my company what Preacher did for Vertigo, or what Spawn did for Image. Kind of give it. He saw Cult of Dracula as a flagship, a tent pole, something that he could build the rest of his company around. And we, after a lot of really soul searching is the only real word that fits, because it was an agonizing choice, because, you're never certain of, what's the right move. And you only get one shot at this. I mean, right. If I blow it and we make the wrong decision, we're in trouble and we're never going to get another shot. So, ultimately we decided that it was better to be the most important book for Second Sight Studios than to be just another book on a solicit sheet from a larger company. And I have not regretted that choice a single moment since we made it, because Second Sight has done everything they promised me they would do. They have supported the book, every way that they promised me they would. They have helped me promote it. They have given me the resources and the license that I need to get out there and promote it the way that I want to promote it. And they've never let their belief in me or my project waver for a second. And so it really, so far, other than hooking up with Henry as my artist, it's definitely the biggest and best decision that I've made. You know, getting Henry as my artist, that's 1A, and then, you know, going with Second Sight, that's 1B, man. I mean, it's been a really good choice.
I think you've made some really good choices, and I think they're lucky to have you, to be honest.
Well, thank you.
So,
Yeah, that must have been fantastic to hear them compare you to, you know, something like Spawn, what Spawn did for Image. You know, they felt that strong that.
And I do have my autographed Spawn Todd McFarlane poster on the wall over here, where yours will go once we.
That's legend. Spawn McFarlane. That's legendary stuff, man. And, you know, from a kid who loves comics, you know, I mean, to hear someone, you know, mention me even in the same paragraph as those guys, it's pretty incredible, man. You know, and the publicity that we've received for the book it's been mind blowing. I mean, Key Collector picked us up. You know, people who collect comics, you're going to recognize Key Collector immediately. It's super influential. But when they identified us as a future Key issue, I mean, I use Key Collector. I read the updates every single week, 2 or 3 times a week when they come out. And when I saw that, I nearly fainted. I mean, and then, you know, we've got, you know, when Bleeding Cool picked up and did an article about the book, and, you know, they were mentioning us alongside, you know, things like Walking Dead and all these other awesome horror books that were coming out. I mean, I didn't know how to process that. And then, you know, Dread Central, they did a fantastic article about us. We ended up on IMDb and Fangoria, Scream Magazine. I mean, it keeps catching fire and burning and burning and burning and burning. And it just gets bigger and bigger. And sometimes I don't believe it. And I just don't get it. I can't fathom why people have been this interested in something that I wrote, but damn, I'm glad that they are.
Oh yeah. Well, great job is all I can say to start on that. Let me let me ask you, because I know, you know, you mentioned like you know, like The Walking Dead and things like that. You know, well, those, you know, and Spawn, you know, eventually went into another medium of movies, and there's talk of a reboot on that someday. Oh, now, Tony. But I mean,
I love the first movie, but man, they got to do Todd McFarlane better than that. I mean,
right. So and then like the Walking Dead, you know, has spawned a huge hit series, you know, for AMC. And so what, you know, with that, you know, maybe, you know, we don't want to pull back the curtain too much, but is there any other, I guess, aspirations for your property to maybe be on some other medium someday?
Yeah. I got to be careful.
Sure.
That I phrase this. We have had discussions with production companies for streaming services to potentially adapt Cult of Dracula into a streaming series. And you know, IMDb leaked something a while back that they had to pull down. So that's it's already getting out there a little bit, and I think that's helping the hype. You know, we're a long way from anything firm,
right?
But you know, conversations are happening with people, and hopefully, you know, if sales continue after issue number 1, if sales continue to do what they've done for issue 1, and then, you know, we've sold 10,000 units and we're not even in Diamond's previews yet. We won't be in there till September. So that'll be just in time for issue 2 to hit the shelves. So if we really see a big spike in sales, I think that's only going to increase the interest in taking it to another medium, as you put it.
Yep.
You know, so, you know, I don't want to put the cart before the horse,
right.
Like that, but things are moving. You know?
Well, the only thing I could say is, I mean, obviously, well-established author, but like Michael Crichton, you know, when he wrote Jurassic Park, and he, Steven Spielberg read the outline before it even got published, and he's like snagging the movie rights. You know what I'm saying? So there's when people can see that diamond that's or the seed that's planted that can really grow into something out there, and I think you have that type of property that can really take you a long way, and I mean that, man. It's I can hardly wait for everybody who listens to the podcast to actually get to see this comic and get to get it out there, because it's they're gonna love it.
Yeah, definitely. And it won't hurt my feelings if one day I do turn on Shudder and I see a preview for Cult of Dracula.
Why did you come up with that name?
I mean, that just might be my favorite streaming service.
I love Shudder, man.
Oh yeah.
They're really good. And there used to be another one, another streaming service for horror. I forget what it was, but it was on like this weird satellite network. It wasn't like DirecTV or Dish. It was something different, but I think that might have been the foundation of Shudder. But it was super cool. I'm so glad that there are these niche streaming services that do like horror and sci-fi and all that stuff. And definitely glad there's a horror one, because I watch it all the time.
Yeah,
so does Tony.
I go through my Roku every once in a while and just download these app channels that they have. Yeah. And some of them are just like Z-level horror movies only. And it is definitely some Z-level horror movies, but if I spend 10 minutes, I have to watch it till the end just to see how it's going to end. And then when it's done, I'm like, well, shit, I shouldn't have done that. I could have done
now, Tony, are you still clamoring for a sequel to Zombievers? I just want to make sure about that.
Dude,
just checking.
I don't know if you can beat Zombievers, man. I love that movie.
Zombievers. The theme song alone is priceless. Oh, geez.
So good.
Hey, well, hey, show him one of your tattoos. I know you can get to one of them at least, right?
Do I have tattoos? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have tattoos?
I don't know if let's see.
There you go. Right off the bat.
Hell
Christopher Lee. That's another one from a Christopher Lee.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my Lair the White Worm.
Yeah, that's art, man. You got a tattoo artist.
Of course, my Blackula shirt.
Yeah. That's an underrated film, man. Some of the exploitation films were really good.
Yeah. And actually, you know what got me hooked on all that was Pam Grier.
Yes.
When I was a kid, my parents watched all those blaxploitation movies, and then I found out who Pam Grier was, and I was that little kid with the heart bubbles. I was like, I love her. So then after that, anything Pam Grier was in, Coffee, Foxy Brown, I was all about it.
Hell yeah.
See, I told you what you were getting into.
Yeah, no, man, I love it, dude. That's my kind of conversation there.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, dude, is there anything else that we need to go over before we let you go? I don't want to cut you out. I mean, we're enjoying the hell out of this, but we've been almost an hour, so wow. I don't want to. I know.
Man, it's blown by.
It doesn't, because like I said, great topic, great conversation, and we really appreciate having you on. But is there anything else you could think of that you want to go over? Any like where do people need to go to get your comic and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man. I think first thing to do, we've spent a lot of time in the interview, and it's been really kind of focused on me. And, I don't deserve all that credit. We need to also reference, we've talked about Henry, but there's some other really cool people and talented people who've worked on it.
Sure.
My colorist, Trevor Richardson. He's done some work for Fangoria and some other things. And he has really taken the book to another level as well as Henry. But, I was at first very insistent. I wanted this book to be black and white, and, because that felt like horror to me, and I really wanted it to be black and white. But Trevor changed my mind on that. When we interviewed, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 colorists for the book. We had them submit samples and things like that. And Trevor, he submitted a page that he had colored, and I sent it over to Henry, and Henry got back to me faster than he has ever responded to any message I've ever sent him. And he said, hire him. And that's all he said, hire him. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so we brought Trevor on, and I'm so glad that we did, because Trevor has done things with color palettes that, that I've never seen him do. I mean, and what really won him the job in the beginning, and you've read issue 1, so you've seen this, but he gave us a red sky. And, everybody else who had colored it, they'd kind of gone traditional. They'd given us blue or gray or something like that, and Trevor was ballsy, and he gave us a red sky, and it really changed. It changed the vibe and the feel of that scene in just a perfect way. It's like this place, it's so dark and it's so twisted that even the sky is sick, and it was so perfect, and it gave it kind of this, it really captured the kind of Tobe Hooper, Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe that I wanted it to have. Just this kind of, just sick, old, rotting, decaying church out in the middle of nowhere with these sick, rotten, decaying people. And it was all because of that red sky. And that wouldn't have been possible if we wouldn't have brought Trevor on board, because we hadn't brought Trevor. If we'd never interviewed him, we would have just had some kind of blue or gray sky, and it wouldn't have been as impactful. So, he really, really kicked some ass with that. Our letterer, Ed Dukeshire, Ed's probably the most, experienced and influential pro that we have working on the script, or working on the book. Ed's done everything, he letters everything. And I never really realized how much having the right letterer would elevate a book. But the way, we tried to save some money. So if somebody's out there listening wanting to make a comic, don't make my mistake and think that you can save money by hiring an inexperienced letterer. You can't, because they're going to make mistakes, and it's going to change the book. But because we did that, and the letterer that we had, she was wonderfully talented. She did her best, but she made mistakes that she just didn't know because she didn't have the experience. But when Ed took over and redid all the lettering, he changed the rhythms of the characters' voices just by the way he laid the letters out. And when he laid the letters out for the first time, I actually heard Renfield's voice, because nice. Renfield, he's like this charismatic cult leader. He's Jim Jones. He's Charles Manson. And like I've listened to so many Charles Manson interviews and tapes, and I've read so much of his writings and transcripts. I'm probably on an FBI watch list because of it. But I really, really wanted Renfield to have that Manson feel, and it all comes through with the way he talks and the way Ed laid the letters out. You can't not hear Manson in that, and he just got the rhythm just right. He's kind of this kind of twisted beat poet, cult leader. And so Ed Dukeshire, another amazing addition to the team. Our cover artists, I can't believe I'm working with some of the people that I'm working with here. Georges Genty, Gyula Nemeth from Criminal Macabre, Carla Cohen from The Boys, Dear Becky, Alan Qua from Nightwing, Chris Callahan from The Misplaced, they've all, Sanford Green from Bitterroot, they've all contributed covers to my book. And, we're getting other cover artists that want to do covers for the book too, which is pretty incredible. And all of these people, I've tried to use my theatrical background as a producer to kind of look at the way I built the book. It's really like I've been casting a show and putting a crew together, and, everybody has their role and everybody does their thing, and it's everything that they do is essential to it. And, sometimes I think I get too much credit for the success of what we're doing here. And, those other people kind of get overlooked a little bit, and they deserve just as much credit as I do, because if I didn't have all of them, this would just be words on a page that nobody would ever read, because it wouldn't be interesting without Henry's pencils and inks, or Trevor's colors, or Ed's letters, or all these other people on their covers. Man, it all goes together to make this awesome, beautiful thing that we've created. So, I really got to say thank you to all of them, and really give shout outs to them, because we just wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a hell of a crew behind you, man.
Yeah, we really do. And the Second Sight people are great too. Bradley and Spike and Peter and Marcus. They've all been really kicking ass to help promote the book and help support it. So, I couldn't have asked for a better situation to be in. With, especially given my lack of status in the comic book world. I'm nobody, man, but I've got some really good people around me who are helping me push this thing forward, and it's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you asked me where to get the book. I almost forgot.
All right.
So the first place we would recommend is, please go to your local comic book shop wherever you are, and ask them to order Cult of Dracula from Second Sight Publishing. Also check out Second Sight's other books, the Book of Lyaxia, which is a fantasy series, and Lady Freedom, which is a really cool take on the superhero genre. Check those out, but definitely ask your local comic book shop first to order it for you. We just found 500 more copies from the print run that haven't been allocated yet, and that's it. That's all we've got from the first print run left. Everything else is sold out to retailers. So if you're a retailer and you're listening and you want it, you can hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, or go to the Cult of Dracula Facebook page and hit us up, and I'll hook you up with the retailer site to order it. But there's only 500 copies left, and it's sold out. And of course that's been sold to comic book shops, and then so hopefully we want listeners to go to the comic book shop and buy it there.
Yes.
If you don't have a local comic book shop, or they're not ordering it, or they can't order it, you can always go to nirvanacomics.com or cultofdracula.com, and you can order it direct from us there. And we'll be happy to send it to you, but please go to your local shop first, because we really want to support the local comic book shop market. So try to get it there first. And then if you just can't find it anywhere else, hit me up, and I'll try to find a shop near you that has it, or, I'll hook you up directly from me, either way. But, it comes out, hits shelves on September 23rd. So that's just in time for the Halloween season. The comic, if you're a reader, the comic is just $2.99. So, we kept it low. If you're a retailer, we've got some really deep discounts that you can take advantage of if you contact us direct. And then we will be in the September issue of Diamond's previews. And so that means that'll be for November books. So when issue 2 drops, there will be a second printing exclusive that'll be available in Diamond. So if you miss out on the first print run, you can still get one from your local comic shop. It'll be in November. But we've already been seeing people selling pre-orders on eBay and like that. So and selling, man. I mean, and they're like I said, there's going to be variant covers that are going to be more expensive if you're a hardcore collector. We've got something for you too. We try to do a little something for everybody, readers, collectors, and everything in between.
And just about every comic book shop, you can usually, if you know what comics you want, you can set up a nice rapport with them and get them to bank the book. In other words, as soon as that issue comes in, this is their box, and let's put those in, and they let you know your comics are in, come get them, kind of thing. So that way you don't miss out. If you really start to get in this series, I know that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up the bank on every issue of this.
There you go. Yeah, please subscribe to it, because that's the best way. Subscribing to a comic is the best way to support your local comic book shop. It's also the best way to support the books that you love, because retailers have to order the comics 2 months in advance. And if they don't have interest from subscribers and regular customers, they may not be able to take a risk on a independent small press book like Cult of Dracula. So if you want it, please go to your local comic book shop, open up a subscription box, ask them to order it for you. I mean, you'll be able to get the entire, if you subscribe, you'll be able to get the entire first volume for less than $20. I mean, because
Nice.
they're $3 and it should be $18. And most comic book shops are going to offer you a discount if you subscribe. So you'll probably get it even cheaper than that. So we really, really wanted this book to be accessible to as many people as possible. I actually took less money in my contract so that we could keep the price low. So I really wanted as many people that wanted to read it to be able to. I didn't want it to have a $4 or a $5 price point that kind of scared people away from it,
Right.
And that's awesome too. I think it's really smart to find a good price point. It really is. And I just really looking forward to it, man. We're both really excited. I think you've probably come across the interview that we were excited for you.
Yeah, you kind of gave me that impression. I wasn't sure at first, but
I got Tony guy. I don't know about him. He's got with his porn mustache and sorry.
And I'm excited for hopefully some merch to start pulling up someday too, because
we've got t-shirts.
Okay.
Yeah, t-shirts are available if you go to nirvanacomics.com. That's nirvanacomics.com, which you can also go to the Cult of Dracula Facebook page and link off of that to it. But yeah, there are some really cool t-shirts. Henry created what we're calling the Ordo Dracul symbol, and it's based off of the infinite dragon, which is a two-headed dragon eating its own tail. And then also the pagan symbol of the triple moon goddess, which it symbolizes feminine power and infinity, the three phases of the moon. So Henry created this really awesome logo design for it. And then it's got Cult of and then Dracula over the triple moon goddess. So it's a really cool shirt. If you're a horror fan, even if you don't ever read the book, it's something you could wear, to a horror convention or something, and it would be really cool. But so you can order those. They're only, I think they're $19.99 on the website, and we're planning on doing some other things like hats and maybe we're definitely doing some art prints, so if you like the covers, you'll be able to buy a numbered art print, which will be really cool. So there's going to be lots more things. So just really follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see everything that we do there. Go to the website and check out the store. You can, if you don't have a shop near you, you can go right to our website right now and order, pre-order all 6 of the first issues. They're up there for pre-order right now. So, but go to your local shop first.
Definitely. And Rich, I'm going to get you, if you don't mind, to, after we're done here, if you get a chance, maybe tonight, tomorrow, send me another email with a lot of those links, and I'll add them to the description below. And I'll also add them to our show notes on our website at outbreakpodcast.com. That way people can go there and click on the links and make it so easy for them to get a hold of you to get this great product. And I'm telling you, I really do think, that this is the next big thing in horror comics. I mean that, man.
I'm with you.
I really hope people read it, and I don't even care if you like it. I just hope I hope people read it, man. And
Rich, they're gonna like it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Well, cool, man. I hope so.
I am Dracula.
Sorry.
That kind of freaked me out for us. Where'd that voice come from?
Watch out, Tony. Oh, Jesus. Oh, geez. Well, Rich, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Definitely. And very exciting for both me and Tony. We thoroughly enjoyed you being on. Hopefully, you've had a good time as well. And hopefully, you'll be back to maybe talk to us again sometime about more comics. And we wish you all the luck. And like I said, as things progress, say someday you picked up as a TV series or something, you come back and promote that too.
I will.
We would love it. Guys, thank you all very much for joining us on tonight's episode of Escape Pod as I go out with our theme song. Thanks, Rich Davis, for being here.
Great time, man. Great talk.
Really appreciate having you. Tony.
You love me.
Of course. You have to get your mask on. Go out there and take care of the goats.
Yeah.
He has a farm, by the way. He really does.
And of course, I have black devil goat. So
Nice! You have the black up there.
He really does. He really does. You don't have your cup handy, do you?
No, it's in the other room.
That's all right. All right. I'll send him pictures of Pan. That's his main. Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us on this episode of Escape Pod. We'll see you soon.
Adios.